It's the Infectious Groove Podcast, part of the Odd Pods Media Network. Recorded from Detroit, Michigan, and Jacksonville, Florida. The Infectious Groove Podcast is your source for jammy jams, album reviews, and the best in-depth music discussion. Thanks for joining us. Now here are your hosts.
Hello, welcome to the Infectious Groove Podcast. My name is Russ. I will be your host for this week. Michelle has the week off because, as everyone knows, she can only put thought and effort into the podcast every other week. So, which we understand. We get it. We understand. We feel blessed and honored for the time that she does give us. So I will be taking you through this episode this week. This episode will be an album review. It is my pick. And I realized that there were two Michael Jackson albums that we hadn't reviewed in the time that this show has been out. And one of them happens to be my second favorite Michael Jackson album. So the second half of the episode, after we get through our normal segments, will be a review of the Michael Jackson album Bad. And helping me out with that, so I'm not just sitting here talking to myself about how great I think this album is a friend of ours from a podcast that we love that also happens to be part of the Odd Pods Media Network. We've got our friend Garrett from the EverTrending Story Podcast. How you doing, brother?
Doing well. How are you, dude?
Not too bad. Not too bad at all. I've got a hectic week going between the time we're recording this and the time the episode comes out. All of the hectic things that I've been preparing for will have happened. You know, but like,
yeah,
but I'm, you know, in the prep stages while this is being recorded. So, but Garrett's podcast, you have heard us talk about on the show several times, not only because he leaves a lot of feedback for us regarding our show, but we've always talked about his show. And in short, they have what I personally think is got to be the most original idea going on in all of podcasting. So if you would, Garrett, tell everybody if they tune into the EverTrending Story Podcast, what are they going to hear?
You are going to hear myself and my co-host Frankie. What we do is we peruse the news and trending topics of the sort, and we find certain ones that sound fun and catchy. And what we do is we will spin those into a fictional story that we write using a randomized genre. And it takes 15-20 minutes to get through a story when we're reading it. But yeah, we fit those trends into the stories as we see fit.
And I like it a lot because, first of all, like I said, I think it's an incredibly original idea. And second of all, if you've clicked on any news story lately, you're probably under the impression that the world is ending and everything is awful. And Garrett and Frankie have found a way to put a little bit of a positive spin and a fun spin on some of the things that are going on in the news. So as you listen to this episode, if you hear Garrett talking and you like what he's got to say, then just know that when you tune into his podcast, you're going to hear a whole different ball of wax, but it is quite original and quite fun. So make sure to check out the EverTrending Story Podcast. On our show here, the last couple of things that we've covered, we've got feedback from the last couple of things that have gone out on our airwaves, one of which was the episode we did of the epic cover battle between Everclear and Van Morrison for the song Brown Eyed Girl. Then we had recently a YouTube video come out about a lot of different hit songs that sound alike. So we've got some feedback to share from both of those things.
Feedback, Joe.
Don't worry about that. Right. Where would rock and roll be without feedback?
Our friends Sean and Chris from the Dad and Rock podcast said that they had never heard the Everclear version of Brown Eyed Girl before and couldn't make it through it. So they prefer the Van Morrison version in spades, but it could just be for nostalgia reasons. So, and I get that. I get it. I like both versions. I went on about that in great detail last week, but it's certainly not for everybody. And I could also see if somebody listened to it now, it having a totally different impact than when it came out. On the other side of the coin, we have our friend Seth wrote in and said, another great podcast, Michelle Gunn and Michelle. I hadn't heard the Everclear version and holy crap, it had me hooked from the opening a cappella. Everclear managed to make the song so much better and made it their own style. So, you have two different people there who had never heard the song before. One said they couldn't stomach it and the other said they had them hooked from the beginning. So, it happens. We did a YouTube video about hit songs that sound the same, and without spoiling the whole video, the type of thing I'm talking about is Stay With Me by Sam Smith, how it pretty much sounds exactly like I Won't Back Down by Tom Petty. And that, that's the type of thing we were talking about. So we had our friend Jamie Porter left a comment on that video and said, my favorite is 25 or 6 to 4 by Chicago, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You by Zeppelin, Brain Stew by Green Day all have the same chord progression as While My Guitar Gently Weeps by the Beatles. So that's a lot of songs that are all the same. This is something interesting. A viewer, Matt, left a comment that says, nice subject. Is it just me or does anyone hear part of the Munsters theme in Billie Eilish Bad Guy, which I had never thought about before until he left that comment. And I was like, oh, I can totally hear that now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. A viewer named Melvin wrote in and said, one interesting aspect about the Tom Petty Red Hot Chili Peppers sound alike that I don't hear talked a lot about. Both songs were produced by Rick Rubin. I always wonder if he was involved in writing both tracks uncredited and if that had something to do with the lack of public comment from both the artists, which is that's possible. I mean,
that is.
Yeah, it's something I never thought about before, but why not? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very possible. A viewer, Tom, wrote in and said, another great video. I just played Why Don't You Get a Job and almost started laughing out loud at how similar it is to Obla Di Bla Da. Another one that's bothered me for years now that I haven't seen mentioned anywhere else is 4 Non Blondes' What's Up and Bobby McFerrin's Don't Worry, Be Happy. Way too similar to be a coincidence. And I haven't seen anything online where anybody has addressed their similarity. And that's one that that's another one I didn't think about. I've known both of those songs for years. And then when they left that comment, I was like, oh, yep, those certainly sound
Yeah, they do.
Similar. So we do have for a little while longer, we have a brand new podcast episode coming out every Monday. But then over on Infectious Groove Music on YouTube, we have 3 YouTube videos coming out every single week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And those videos are all 5 to 10 minute little short snippet videos featuring myself in some videos and myself and Lauren from the Beard Owl podcast and others. So make sure that you're subscribed to that if you are not. So that has been some of the feedback that we have had. If you leave a comment on the for the podcast or on YouTube, we will more than likely read it on the show for you. Moving right along. Our Jammies. Our Jammy Jams is a segment where we talk about what we've been listening to and why and what we think you should listen to. And for me, I've got 3 straight rock tracks this week. 2 of them are brand new, but one of them is pretty old now, coming up, I think, on 25 years or so old, but it's a great cut that I got reminded of this week. And actually, I'll start with that one first. So when Guns N' Roses broke up pretty much in the mid 90s, like around 93, 94, pretty much the whole world always goes on about how we never got any more Guns N' Roses until the Chinese Democracy album came out in 2008. But a lot of people forget that they did put out one single song on the End of Days soundtrack. And the song is called Oh My God. And it is killer. I hated the song when I first heard it, but and by hated when I first heard it, I mean for the first 2 years that it was out. I was like, no, absolutely not. And for some reason it grew on me along the way. And my son and I were actually having a text conversation the other day where he mentioned it offhand. And I was like, oh man, what a jam. I haven't listened to that in a while. And as soon as it started, I was hooked on it. So that went into my rotation for this week. And then the other 2 songs that I've been listening to are by the same band. And I've talked about this a few times over the past month or so, but the band Extreme, to the average listener, the band who is known for just More Than Words, it does a lot of music that is a lot different than the song More Than Words. They have a brand new album coming out in June, and they've released 3 songs from the album now. And the 2 latest that just came out, one's called Rebel and one's called Banshee. And they are just great hard rocking songs. They're songs in the style that I love by Extreme, which is everything else they did besides More Than Words. And I can't wait for the rest of that record to come out. So I'm super pumped for the album. And I usually don't listen to more than 1 or 2 singles from an artist when their album is coming out. But it's been since 2008 since Extreme put an album out. So I'm kind of starved, Yeah. And all 3 of the songs that they've put out kick ass. So, so it's like, well, I'm not going to hold back. I'm just going to listen to these, So that's the 3 that I've been listening to. Oh My God by Guns N' Roses, Banshee, and Rebel by Extreme. Garrett, what have your Jamie Jams been?
Well, I have not had too much time for music lately just because most of my days caught up with podcasting at work and stuff. But a couple of the ones that I've been just really digging lately, I don't know where this one came from, but it randomly just popped in my head. And I'm like, I wonder if I still like that song. It's called Still Fly. I don't remember exactly what the name of the group is. I'll make sure I get that to you.
Right
it's just an old school rap song. I think Birdman's part of it.
Okay.
it's just a fun driving one. And where I live in North Dakota, there is no more snow on the ground for the most part, and it's like sunny out, so it's like good driving music to kind of throw on while you're cruising.
Yep.
Which we've been missing for 9 months now. And then another one that I recently discovered is one of my coworkers told me that De La Soul just recently let all of their music onto streaming.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I didn't know too much of their stuff, but I dove in head first, and I've just been enjoying it. And one of them that's really just got my attention is a song called Rock Cocaine Flow with MF Doom. Holy shit. That song is a killer, man. I can't get over how good that one is.
Yeah, the record most people know off the top of their head by De La Soul is The Breakthrough, 3 Feet High and Rising. But they put out a record, geez, I don't know. I want to say, I'm probably going to be wrong on this, but I feel like within the past 5 years. And I think that is off the record that you're talking about.
The Grind Date is what the album's called.
Okay, yeah, possibly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I love the beat that's in it. It kind of goes up and down between each artist, and MF Doom in there is always a treat when you get to hear him. So, and then the last one has just got me hooked, and unfortunately, it's one of those things that came from TikTok. But this song is one of the most positive, just awesome songs I think I've ever heard. It's called "If I Were a Fish," and it is such a fun song. And the reason that it was written and just how big the song has gotten over the last 2 weeks is inspirational. And it's also just a hell of a fun song to listen to and sing along with.
Is there this is a grandpa moment for me where I should, in the interest of full disclosure, I'm not at all against TikTok, nor am I against any way that artists can get noticed or blow up. You know what I mean? Like any way that artists can. However, the only time I ever use TikTok is when Michelle sends me TikToks, and 90% of the time it's somebody's baby falling down or something is what Michelle sends me, So yeah. I generally don't pick up new music on there, but I don't even know how it works. Do they have the artist listed for who it is, or is it just someone who happened to get a ton of views? Or
I think this person actually is kind of an indie artist that started on there and just kept putting their music out, and eventually just it gets picked up. I know they just recorded an official version and put that out on Friday. There's a couple other musicians I've found too, where one guy was trying to write this song and he was putting his progression through it, and all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, I'm heading to LA to record this song," and it's just I don't know. It's crazy how all that stuff just blows up because of the attention it gets through TikTok.
Yep. And I don't, like I say, I don't, I know we've had plenty of moments on the show over the past 3 years where I very much sound like, get off my lawn, as far as music but I don't have any problem with that, man. To me, it's it's an expedient version of what used to happen back in the day. When the artist that me and you grew up on, it was a 2, 3, 4 year process for the right person to hear them, and then the right amount of people to hear them, and then them to build up. Now that stuff can be instantaneous. So it's not, I don't hate the game or the player in this instance. It's just times have changed, and it's great. And my thing is, I think a lot of people put too much stock into the people who are mad about this stuff put too much stock into this doesn't take away from what you are okay, I'm a huge Floyd fan, right? Or let's say someone's a huge Zeppelin fan. This becoming popular right here, right now, does not mean that there's not space for you to still love those classic artists that you did. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
So I just think that the people that get upset over this type of stuff blowing up, I really don't think you have a leg to stand on. It's it's not like they came in your house and took your Zeppelin records and they're like, this is all you get now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, it's just a different way to go about it. And, if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, then, just move on to the next one.
Yeah. Just literally, you can just slide on to the next thing and you're not forced to listen to it. So, but that segment is always popular on the show for exactly the reason that you just heard. We have, usually I have a little bit more diversity in what I'm listening to, but this week it's just nope, this is just straight rock stuff. But Garrett definitely brought the diversity, and we always have the Infectious Groove Podcast playlist on Spotify that we will have the jammy jams that Garrett and I were listening to, as well as the entirety of the album that we are about to review. Speaking of which, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Garrett is going to sit in with me while we walk through a review of Michael Jackson Bad, easily one of the most popular records in the history of music, and we'll go through everything about it when we come back. You are listening to the Infectious Groove Podcast on the Odd Pods Media Network.
Hey, you there. We've got a question for you. Are you tired of clickbait stories and the loudest voices driving discussions in culture and entertainment?
If so, I'm Dylan.
I'm Kendall.
And I'm Corey.
And we host the podcast From the Middle. We're middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives with points of view somewhere in the middle.
We take a more reasonable and centrist approach in our discussions covering genres like comedy, culture, entertainment, and interviews with really interesting folks like business owners, comic creators, doctors, news anchors, New York Times best-selling illustrators, professional stand-up comics, and more. We really value a relaxed and conversational podcast, one that we hope is so fun and laid back, you'll forget you're not actually hanging out with us.
So search at From the Mid Pod, just like it sounds, or check us out everywhere you can find podcasts.
Hi, I'm Tina Jaramillo.
And I'm Hillary Doherty.
And we host the Muck Podcast, where we discuss the dark and sometimes weird true stories in American politics.
Hey, Tina, did you know that Elvis crashed the Nixon White House for the sole purpose of getting a DEA badge, and it worked?
What? Or how a gun control advocate senator out of California engaged in gun trafficking with notorious gang leader Shrimp Boy?
Shrimp Boy, I remember him. Okay, so, we cover all of that and more from maladies, madness, mischief, and murder in U.S. politics.
And we also host a bi-weekly interview segment called Lil Muck.
We interview politicians, journalists, activists, and others who share their experiences in politics.
Find the Muck Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts and check us out on social media at the Muck Podcast.
We are back. It's Russ from the Infectious Groove Podcast, and I'm not alone. I've got with me this week Garrett from the EverTrending Story Podcast, who you've probably heard his ad play time and again on the show here in between when we take breaks, and they are part of the Odd Pods Media Network, so you should see retweets and interaction going back and forth between us and them on Twitter all the time, so if you're looking to follow them on socials, it will be real easy to do. Garrett is sitting in with me to go through another one of our album reviews, and over the past 3 years on the show, in one form or another, we have talked about some of my favorite Michael Jackson albums, and it came back around time for me to pick the album for review, and I realized that we hadn't picked one of my favorite Michael Jackson albums yet. We hadn't discussed it in full, so I figured why not do that now. So having said that, we are going to discuss Michael Jackson Bad. This album was released on August 31st, 1987. It is the follow-up to the insanely successful Thriller album from 1982. To give you an idea of the kind of success we're talking about with Bad, this album sold 2.25 million copies in its first week of sales in the U.S. alone. And in case you are wondering where that's at now, it is up to over 35 million copies of this record has been sold. And to put that into perspective, there are artists who go their entire career with their entire catalog not selling 35 million copies.
Man.
Yeah. This is the first album in history to have 5 straight #1 singles. There were 6 top 10 singles from the record. And actually there was a 7th single released called Another Part of Me. And that one reached number 11. So, with the asterisk of all asterisks, it was 6 top 10 singles instead of 7. And the 7th came in at number 11. Globally, this remains Michael Jackson's second best-selling album, with Michael Jackson's Thriller, of course, being the best-selling album of all time by anyone ever. Not just Michael Jackson, but by anyone ever. The only album that's even ever in the discussion with Thriller as far as albums sold is sometimes there's companies out there that try and do creative math and say that the Eagles' Greatest Hits has sold more copies, but every time the actual math is done, they're like, no, really, it's Thriller that sold more copies. So we always ask the person who chose the record for us, why did they choose this record for us? And of course, I have reasons for that. First of all, there's only 2 Michael Jackson albums between Thriller and the last album that he released when before he passed, that we have not reviewed on the show. One of which is this one, Bad, and the other is Dangerous. And I don't have anything against Dangerous. As a matter of fact, Dangerous has my personal favorite Michael Jackson song on the album. But with History being my favorite Michael Jackson album, the second half of History from Scream to Smile, with that being my favorite Michael Jackson album, Bad is easily my second favorite Michael Jackson album. So I don't know how we didn't get around to covering it by now is, kind of, I'm just surprised. And then as a side note, this is the only tour that I ever got to see Michael Jackson in concert on was the Bad tour. So that's kind of another thing that anchors this as a big favorite for me too.
That's so awesome.
He was absolutely incredible. Like if you can go on YouTube and see there's some really good pro shot footage from that tour, and it's just astounding. The dude was on fire.
Yeah,
absolutely at the peak of his abilities. So what we do when we do our album reviews, we go through myself and Garrett will go through and tell you what we think the best tracks on the record are, more or less our favorite tracks on the record. We will then go through, we have a category called stinkers, and basically just songs that we, don't like. It doesn't have to be the worst song ever, but it's songs we don't like. And believe it or not, I do have at least one on this record. Then we'll go through some open discussion points, some things that I want to talk about with the record, some things Garrett might want to bring up. Then we round out our review by saying if we personally would buy this record, if we recommend that you buy it, and then we give it a rating of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best. So as far as best tracks go, I have talked a ton about this record already. So Garrett, I'm going to throw it over to you first. For me, it's like with this record, it's like, well, you can almost read off the track list and say, okay, well, those are the best tracks, right? Yep. But do what you can, man. Take us through some of your favorites.
I was initially just going to say yes when you asked me to name off the favorite tracks, because I'll be honest, I never really got into Michael Jackson too much as a youth, but as I've gotten older, I've learned to appreciate more of his music. This was honestly my first time going through this entire album.
Yeah, I get that.
When I got on the show.
Dude, and my wife, full disclosure, my wife just heard this album in its entirety like a week ago for the first time ever.
And I'm really disappointed I waited this long. I guess the other side of that too is, I went through and starred all the ones that I'd heard before, and it was half the album.
Oh yeah, because on account of all the singles, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like I missed it. I just didn't hear the full potential of it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, there's so many just good ones. I mean, The Way You Make Me Feel, I truly think that's probably the best one on the album.
Such a jam.
It is such a jam.
Holy shit, what a jam.
I mean, you can't go wrong with Smooth Criminal. Actually, a fun fact about that, the first time I ever heard that song was from Alien Ant Farm. And then when I heard that Michael Jackson was the original person, I was like, I told my friends at school, because I'm like, hey, did you know he did this? And they're like, yep, we knew that. I was in the dark.
Yeah, they're like, well, we were living on Earth when it came out. So yeah.
I mean, Man in the Mirror is such a great song. I mean, that's really pretty good too. I wish it wasn't the title track, but we can get more into that later. Yeah, I mean, just the whole thing was just great. Just great.
Yeah, I paired up with you on a few that you mentioned. The Way You Make Me Feel, I think, is ridiculous. It's so good. Holy cow, what a jam. Liberian Girl, I think, is a beautiful song. And actually, those two songs we're going to touch. When we get to open discussion, I want to talk a little bit about the short films from this album, which I generally like to focus on just the album when we're doing an album review. But those two short films in particular have a couple of things I want to point out. Another Part of Me, I think, is brilliant. Man in the Mirror. This guy, MJ, had so many anthems: Earth Song, We Are the World, Heal the World. And then, if you're going to be known for just one, I'll take Man in the Mirror all day, every day.
Yeah.
Dirty Diana, I think, is insanely good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What a jam. Side note, the guitarist on that is Steve Stevens, who is mostly known for playing with Billy Idol. So if you've heard White Wedding, Rebel Yell, Idol's version of Moni Moni, that's the same cat playing guitar on that.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
And then now the one song that's weird on this record is because when it was originally released, the album ended with Smooth Criminal, but then they very soon after they added the song Leave Me Alone for obvious and unfortunate reasons, because the tabloids and the media had pretty much already started beating MJ down, which to this day hasn't stopped. Even though he left the earth, they can't help themselves with beating him up all the time.
Yeah.
But I love that song too. It's a fantastic jam. When we get to open discussion, there's a thing I want to mention about the song that could have been there instead of that one, but it's a great song. So as far as stinkers go, like I say, I do have one. And I have tried so hard to love this song. I really have. I've tried so hard. And then, at one point you have to realize that you can't, in my opinion, you can't force yourself to like something. Like you know what I mean? Like it either reaches out and it touches you or it doesn't. Right.
Yeah.
And okay. Obviously you have Michael Jackson on the song. And then on top of that, Stevie Wonder is on this track. And it's like Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson are on the same track and I don't like it, then this must be user error. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be me, right? But the song Just Good Friends, man, I tried again the other night when Lauren and I were listening to it straight through. And I even did the thing where I didn't say anything to her before the song, I was like, okay, if she starts bopping, right? Like then it's, you know what I mean? Then like it's me. And, it was the only song during the whole thing too, where she was kind of like, I could take or leave that. And I was like, I know, right? So where do you stand on that? Did you have any notes on that song? Like, is it truly user error? Do you like that song or is that one that didn't stick out to you?
So I took notes on every song. And the only notes I wrote for that one is I like it, but I'm confused on the title. I didn't put any love, hate. It was just kind of very mid for me.
Yeah.
And when I was because the music program I was using didn't tell me it was Stevie Wonder. I don't know if he was left off intentionally or not, but I was like, who's this other guy singing with them? And I mean, I liked it, but I don't know. It just lyrically, it was weird to me as well, but I wouldn't skip it.
And that's the thing is a lot of the record has even like Liberian Girl and I Just Can't Stop Loving You are the lightest of the fare on the record. Right. Mm-hmm. And what you said, those lyrics are very definitive, like he's like, Liberian Girl, you came and you changed my world, just like in the movies. Like this is a very deep, big love they've got between them. Right. And I Just Can't Stop Loving You. That's like the top of the mountain as far as like passionate lyrics. And then Just Good Friends is like, you're here and I'm here.
Right.
So maybe that's might be a very observational point that you made where maybe that's it. The rest of the record is so passionate and has something to say that this is the one song where I'm like, well, if you don't know how you feel about this, then why should I,
Yeah. And I mean, as far as like stinkers go, I did write one and I just wrote stinker potential because I kind of like you with Just Good Friends. I tried to give this one a couple different chances. And every time I listened to it, I was just like, nah, this one ain't for me. And I feel ashamed to say this now, but it's actually Liberian Girl.
Really? Yeah, I will tell you that was one of the last songs on the record that I came to love. It took me a while to love it. Now I genuinely love the song, but for years I was very much like, I could do without that.
I just wrote, what a weird love song. Name her at least, instead of just continuously referring to as Liberian Girl.
Yeah, that's true.
And then I said, her audio feels out of place, but the music is good. And that was kind of just something. I mean, this whole album, if it was just like instrumentals, I mean, you could listen to this whole thing and just enjoy every second of it. I think every song has just a great sound to it.
Yeah. Oh no, I totally agree. Yeah. And what's funny is if I don't expect anybody to do this kind of deep research, but this is something you can do when you have time, is if you go on YouTube, there's tons of videos about the isolated vocals and master tracks and stuff for this record. And a lot of the percussion that you're hearing on all these songs is MJ. So like, he's like, he's like using his body to add to the percussion of the songs before you even worry about his main vocal. So if you go to YouTube and you just kind of look for, it doesn't even matter what track, Smooth Criminal, if you just put in like Smooth Criminal isolated tracks or Liberian Girl isolated tracks or whatever, you will be astounded by how much of the percussion that MJ did for these tracks. And then of course it's obvious on first listen when you hear the songs, like he's doing all of his own backups and all of his own harmonies and everything. Yeah. It's insane.
Just such a talented dude to just be doing all that and just killing it with every facet of it. And he's just killing it.
Yeah. There's so the young lady that sings the duet, I Just Can't Stop Loving You, her name is Saida Garrett. And she wrote Man in the Mirror as well. So she's pretty darn talented. Yeah. And there is a video of her available on the internet that I absolutely love. And it's her talking about when people say that Michael Jackson wasn't a musician, quote unquote, wasn't a musician because he didn't play a traditional instrument, right? And there's a quote from her, and you got to go watch this clip because it's hilarious just to see her. But she's like, he didn't play the instrument, but he knew what he wanted to hear, and he knew the melody. And if he didn't play it like he told you to play it, he'd keep singing it until you did. God damn it. It's very, very, very cool. And it's like, this is coming from the young lady that sang on I Just Can't Stop Loving You and wrote Man in the Mirror. So she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No kidding.
Yeah. So anyways, it's really just a fantastic record across the board. So let's get into some open discussion on the matter. I've got a couple of things I want to mention on it, and I'm sure you have at least a couple of things that you'd like to bring up. I know you said you had other notes for other songs too, so I don't want to just discount, what you have on your notes. One general observation I want to say is, and I touched on this in the intro to the record some, these sales numbers are insane.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The fact that you even said some artists will go their whole, musical career and just not even come close to what he did with just the one is insane.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Now, here's one thing that I think a lot of people will take issue with. And, when you're coming off of any huge success, if you're Pink Floyd trying to follow up The Dark Side of the Moon, if you're Def Leppard trying to follow up Hysteria, whatever your huge success is, you always are going to have this gargantuan weight on your shoulders. Well, imagine that you're following up Thriller, for Christ's sake. It's like the largest selling record of all time, and every man, woman, and child on the earth is dressed as you, this is a big thing to follow up. This album, to me, doesn't sound like he's trying to outdo Thriller. This just sounds like, and I also make all of this music as well. Mm-hmm. Do you get that? Okay, I'm not alone in that, right?
No, definitely not. It just feels like he's like, if people like this, I've got all of this to share with you. So let's just like you said, he's not trying to one up himself every time. He's just continuously just sharing what he's capable of.
Right. Which just happens to be more and better than what most other artists are capable of, Now, one thing I want to dial back and touch, you said you had some thoughts on the title cut. And I want to say this. What's funny is the very first single off of this record was the song that I've already been complimentary about, the ballad, I Just Can't Stop Loving You. When, waiting what seemed like in the 80s, 5 years, an eternity as a kid waiting for the follow-up to Thriller. The first thing I ever heard off of this record was the song I Just Can't Stop Loving You. And I did not like it when I first heard it. I was like, I've waited forever, and it was probably just because it was a ballad and, I don't know. And there was no short film to go with it either, which you'd been used to by that time. With Michael Jackson songs comes epic short film,
Sure.
But then Bad, I remember clearly seeing the 20-minute short film that went with Bad and everything. And my first impression was when they do that slow camera angle around him when he first shows up, when it turns from black and white to color, I was like, oh man, what an aptly titled album and song. Holy shit, he looks bad as hell. Right. But then I remember being like, but this song is just okay though. Mm-hmm. And it's grown over the years. I like the song a lot more now, but I remember being like, oh no, the first two songs to come from this record, I just think are okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I first booted this album up, I was honestly, this is funny. I was kind of disappointed that the song wasn't Fat by Weird Al.
Right. Yeah.
Because I knew that one, way more than Bad. And I mean, it's a great way to start the album, like the way that the song starts. Mm-hmm. It's a great way to introduce the album. And then my main complaint with it is it the ending. It just overstayed this welcome just a bit.
I hear that.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of when they just do that repetitious thing at the end. Just either fade out quickly or just hit a note and just be done.
Right. No, I get what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, looking at all the tracks that are on this, if it would have been, either Man in the Mirror or The Way You Make Me Feel as the title track, I think that would have fit better just with how much I like the songs on here. I think either of those songs would have been a better choice for me.
I see what you're saying. One thing I will say is that I regarding Weird Al, there's two things that I love about the Weird Al parody and everything that comes with it. One, the outro of Bad, where Michael does all of the ad libs and whatnot. And the whole world has to answer right now. I love that Weird Al turns those into the fat jokes where he's like, when I sit around the house, I really sit around the house. That's always killed me from the first time that I heard it. And also it's worth noting, and I don't know if you know this, a lot of people don't know this. If you ever watched the video for Fat, if you noticed a incredibly striking resemblance between the sets for the videos, that's because not only did Michael Jackson give Weird Al permission to do Fat, he gave him the set from the Bad video.
I love that. I love that. You've mentioned that. I think it's on your show or on Lauren's show before, but it's still such a fantastic thing. I love that he just embraced Weird Al just doing his stuff. He's like, yeah, of course you can. Just, do this and make it just look extra cool.
Yeah. I can't even imagine how much money, it costs something to make sure that set was left up, for Weird Al to use it. And for an artist, you take Weird Al doesn't have to ask permission to do his parodies, but he does. Right. And I wouldn't doubt if that had played into it too with MJ's decision of being like, you know what, this is a good guy. You know what I mean? Like, and then and Michael Jackson was historic for his sense of humor and the fact that he loved to be teased. So I'm sure he was like, well, this is the only guy that's got the balls to poke fun at what I'm doing, then have at it. Yeah.
Yep.
Another thing, and this is off topic from the record, and this is probably more for you, Garrett, than anybody else, is when I mentioned the song "Leave Me Alone" was added to the record. There is it's on streaming. If you listen to the Bad 25 version, there is a song that was almost on this record, and it's a song called "Streetwalker" that I almost totally cheated and told you to listen to that too, because that's how much I love this song.
Okay.
Oh man, it is a jam. And me personally, I would put it up there with The Way You Make Me Feel, Dirty Diana. Like, I think it's of that caliber. And yeah, it bums me out that it got left off the record. So I would just recommend you and anybody listening to this podcast that hasn't heard the song Streetwalker by Michael Jackson. For years, it would have had to have been one of those things where I'm like, well, I'll burn it on a CD or put it in a Dropbox and give it to you or whatever. But now it's on streaming now. It's part of the Bad 25 set. So you can just go to Spotify and check it out and see what you think. I think it's such a jam, and I wish it was on this record. The only other thing I wanted to point out, and I wanted to talk about two specifically, or else we're going to be here all night. The short films from this album are insanely good. I think they're on par with or better than the short films from Thriller, and that's saying a lot.
Okay. I think I've only honestly seen Bad.
You need to check more out. You've for sure seen Smooth Criminal, man. The lean, the white suit, the gangster.
Oh, yep. Yeah. No, I've seen that too. That's for sure got to be the only two I've seen though.
Now, I'll be honest with you. There are some, like Man in the Mirror I don't think there's any footage of MJ in it. It's all the troubles of the world, like things we need to take a look at, starving children, bombing and whatnot. It's all news footage. Okay. Another part of me is a concert film. It's all just footage from, I believe, the European leg of the tour, which I mean is great, but it's not, there's no it's not a message in a short film type thing. It's the closest to just a music video that MJ does.
Okay.
Dirty Diana is also a concert, but it wasn't shot at actual MJ concerts. It's just kind of like a staged, this woman, the character from the song is prowling around backstage and this MJ concert is happening. But the two that I wanted to talk about specifically is one, The Way You Make Me Feel, man. If you like that song, you are going to love the short film for it. You talk about the peak of cool, man. He's standing out in the street. And before the song even starts, this young lady that he's going to be singing to in the video kind of passes him on the street like he's nothing.
Okay.
And he just kind of looks like, are you kidding me? Like who the fuck, you know what I mean? And he goes, this is before the song even starts. He goes, hey, and everyone and everything on the street stops, including her. And he circles around her a couple of times, and a cappella, he goes, you knock me off of my feet now, baby. And then the beats of the song kicks in. It is so cool.
Oh man.
Yeah, it is so cool. like it trust me, when you watch the video for that song, you'll love it.
I'm doing that as soon as we're done recording, because that sounds amazing.
Now, and then here's the other thing, and this is why I think helped Liberian Girl grow on me is because of the short film that goes with it. So the short film for Liberian Girl, I want to make sure I don't overstate this. It has everyone who's ever been famous in it. Literally every person who's ever been famous is in this video.
Okay.
And it's a time capsule, right? Because the video came out in 87 or 88. So you have Brigitte Nielsen and Sylvester Stallone. You have Carl Weathers. You have Jasmine Guy, John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John. Steven Spielberg is in this short film.
Wow.
I mean, literally everybody. Weird Al is in Michael Jackson's short film for this. Literally everybody was famous at the time is in this video, and there's no storyline or anything to the video, like the girl from the song. It's just the song is just playing in the background, but the whole video is all of these super famous people all arguing with each other about who's the most famous and who's the one who's going to quote star in the MJ video. Right.
Okay.
And then at the end of the video, the camera swoops around and it's been, MJ has been sitting there filming all of these celebrities arguing with each other the whole time. Right. So,
all right.
Yeah. And the only reason Weird Al is in the video is because a bunch of celebrities run over and they see him from behind because he's in his, he's got his hair done like the cover of the album. And everybody's like, oh, there's Michael. And Weird Al turns around. He's like, who'd you think I was? You know, like it's really funny.
Love that.
Yeah. But I just love that this guy he had enough power to have everybody who was famous in the world to have him in this just to make fun of how vain they all are.
I love, that's a very just clever thing to do for a video. I like that.
And what I say is, besides Michael's astounding main vocal on Liberian Girl, I think the repeated watches of that video to see like what I missed or who I missed is what the repetition that led to me being like, damn it, that's a great song, you know?
Sure. Okay.
So, but my number one thing for you, I would tell you for sure to check out the video for and watch whatever. I'm sure the long version of The Way You Make Me Feel is like 6 or 7 minutes long, because the intro alone, where she walks around him and he gives it the old, damn it, you don't walk by Michael Jackson. You know?
How dare you?
Yeah. It's the definition of how dare you. So anyways, that's really what I had to say as far as like the full scope of the record goes. Did you have any other thoughts or anything you wanted to point out about maybe any individual songs or the album as a whole?
Yeah, just to kind of touch on a couple of them. So like on The Way You Make Me Feel, I just wrote, it's an absolute fire of a groove, and it's impossible to hate anything about this song.
Yep.
I really don't see how you can.
The only thing I would add to that is wait till you see the video.
Okay.
Or the short film. Yeah.
Speed Demon was just kind of a meh song for me. I feel like the music didn't match like what the song was saying, but it still was good music. That was just kind of the theme throughout the whole album, like I said earlier.
That's another one too, where I feel the short film lends itself well. Let me put, I swear what I'm about to say is true. The short film for that involves Michael Jackson in a dance off with a claymation rabbit. So I swear.
All right.
Yeah. So again, that's another one where I've watched it enough to where I think finally one day I was like, oh, I love this song because I will love the video so much.
Sure. I wasn't also a fan of the Michael Jackson noise he makes in that one compared to everything else he does.
Yeah. I hear that.
That one's a little weird.
Yeah.
And just another thing, I feel like this goes without saying, but Man in the Mirror has one of the best key changes I think I've ever heard in music.
Mm-hmm.
When that kicks in, and then he's got the choir behind him too. Holy shit, that thing just hits you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mentioned earlier on that I did get to see him on that tour. And let me tell you something, brother. When he does that song live and he does the spin before that key change and the key change happens and he drops and hits that key change, it'll change your whole life. I've seen it in person.
I just got goosebumps just from you describing that. I think the only other like key change that rivals that is the one on Circle of Life. But
yeah,
as far as like, I really feel like that one is just like when I heard it, I just had my earbuds in and I was just in the moment. And when it kicks in, it really just like elevates you. Mm-hmm. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And then, just for the regular album itself, I mean, Smooth Criminal was just a hell of a closer to that album. Like it starts off good with bad. And, you always talk about album sequencing. I feel like this album was sequenced really well. Even though I wasn't a big fan of Liberian Girl, the ups and downs of the album felt really well. And just to end it on Smooth Criminal was just chef's kiss.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. It's like, let me put it this way. If you waited 5 years for the record, I don't believe anybody who bought it in that first week when they got to the end were like, oh, damn it.
Yeah.
Like I think they're like, and it was Smooth Criminal on the way the original album ends with it ending with Smooth Criminal, I think is one of those things too that would make you be like, oh, we got to listen to this again now. Like you would want to go right back to Bad. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we always ask if you would buy this album, and I think it would go without saying that I have bought this album several times in life from the first week that it was released back in August of 1987. And actually a year ago, I sold off my entire vinyl collection except for a very few records. And we just here in Florida got our setup for like a much smaller vinyl collection that we intend to have here at the house. And literally one of the first 10 records that I bought was Michael Jackson Bad. So yes, not only would I buy it, but I recommend everyone else does as well. Is this a record you would go out and buy, Garrett?
Oh, absolutely. I don't know how you could say no to this thing. I mean, just like the singles that came out of it were just absolute hits. And I would listen to this thing, no problem. So yeah, absolutely go out and buy it.
Right on. Would you recommend? I would always recommend this record to anybody, especially my thing is with looking at this in 2020 vision, right? Because now we have the luxury of looking back at MJ's entire catalog, since unfortunately, you know, it's over. We're not going to get any more new works that he produces from him. So now we can look back at the whole catalog. Me personally, I would tell people to start with the second half of History for many, many reasons. Scream through Smile. I think that's the best complete work that he's ever, it's my favorite complete work that he's ever done. But before, most people would say, okay, well, if you're going to listen to that first, fine, but then go right to Thriller. And I totally disagree. I think this record, I think you should absolutely listen to Bad before Thriller. I think it's just a stunningly good album that is different from Thriller in many ways, but I would tell people to listen to this before Thriller.
Yeah. I mean, like, since this is my first actual foray into a full Michael Jackson album, aside from, I think the one that you're talking about, I also listened to because you had reviewed it on your show like a season or two ago.
Yeah.
I listened to that one, and I mean, I enjoyed that as well. But as a first time like listener to this, I would definitely go out and be like, hey, if you haven't somehow listened to Bad, you need to go listen to Bad.
Yeah, it's such a good follow-up album. It stands on its own, but it's an amazing follow-up under incredible pressure. So we always rate the album with 10 being the best, 1 being the absolute worst. Garrett, I will let you go first on this. I feel like your number is going to come in a little bit lower than me, but I get why yours would be a little bit lower than me, because I think you had some songs that you didn't favor as much as like have maybe had time to grow on me. But having said that, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I will let you go ahead and give us your rating.
5 out of 10. I'm just kidding.
Oh, I was going to say, filling in for Michelle over here.
Yeah. No, I really thought long and hard about this today just to make sure I give this the right number. And I honestly gave this a 9 out of 10.
All right. Yeah, that's okay. Cool. Now, see, I also gave it a 9 out of 10. Mine is because it must be user error, but I cannot bring myself to like the song Just Good Friends. I don't know why, but I just can't bring myself to like that. And, you know, he's got the one stinker for me. So that detracts the 1 point overall for me. So what was your thinking on giving it such a high mark?
Yeah. I mean, it was basically the same thing. Like, I enjoyed every song. I really wouldn't skip any of them aside from Liberian Girl. But I mean, it's not that I would skip it every time. I think I just have to be in the right mood for that one. I mean, maybe that'll grow on me too, but overall, I mean, it's a damn near perfect album. The music is flawless throughout. It's just an easy listening just through and through. I am really sad and upset with myself that I did not give this a chance years ago. I mean, it came out before I was born, and I definitely didn't get into Michael Jackson early enough, but
yeah, well, you know, hey, you got the future now. You know, you know about it now. You know. Plus, dude, if I could be you and see all those short films for the first time, you know, I mean, I've seen them, all of those, 50 or 100 times each. If I could go back and watch everything you're about to watch for the first time, I'd trade places with you in a heartbeat. You're in an enviable position, my friend.
I should almost just video myself watching these and put it up on YouTube or something.
Heck yeah, dude. I'll tell you what, reaction videos get a huge thing on YouTube. Huge numbers for reaction videos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plus it would be genuine because everybody could hear you learning about it on this show. Like if anybody was like, oh, there's no way he's ever seen the video for that. You can be like, no, you can hear it. There's a podcast where you can hear me hearing about it for the first time.
Yeah.
You can be there when I learned about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's an absolute banger of a record. And I also give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's as close to perfection as a pop album can get, in my opinion, is what you're getting here with this record. So, Garrett, we greatly appreciate you stepping in to help us out. If you were listening to the program last week, we said our friends Dad and Rock were going to be here to help us out this week, and we had a grave scheduling issue between the two of us, and they've contributed to our show plenty. We always have great interactions with them. So if you would like to look into what Dad and Rock does, make sure to look for them on YouTube and subscribe to their channel. However, because they couldn't make it, Garrett was more than happy to step in and did a fantastic job helping us out with taking a look at an MJ record that he wasn't familiar with at all. And I think that longtime fans and people who maybe haven't heard this record could benefit from what Garrett brought to the table with this, because longtime fans get to hear you being like, holy crap, this is great. And people who may be like you, who hadn't listened to the record yet, might now be like, damn, apparently I need to stop missing out. Garrett, we appreciate you stepping in and helping us out. We always say at the top of the show, hey, this is who we have, and you should go check out their show. But tell everybody again, why, as this episode is ending, why should they go over, search for your podcast now, and subscribe to that?
Oh, that's because Frankie and I, my wonderful co-host, we peruse the news and we come up with some crazy trendy articles and some keywords, and we turn those into fun fictional stories utilizing a randomized genre, and we just have a good time hanging out over there. We make the news less shitty. So there you go.
I swear, I know you guys just recently changed your logo to like a much nicer, like handwritten, almost like calligraphy type font. You should put that out there too in quotes. We make the news less shitty.
There you go. That's a good tagline. We've been looking for a tagline.
I tell you what, that is a good tagline, man. Because if you turn on the news, you're going to see a lot of bad stuff. And, they call it doom scrolling for a reason. And, if you would like some help with that and a new twist on things, like me personally, I hate the news. I can't stand looking around and seeing everything awful in the world all the time. And when I went on the EverTrending Story Podcast, I had a riot discussing things I had heard about and things I didn't even want to hear about that we twisted into a story and had a great time with. So yeah. We always have a ringing endorsement for it on the show. Next week on the podcast, I'm going to be joined by my wife, Lauren, who runs her own podcast, the Beard Owl Podcast, and Michelle will be back on the program with us next week. And we are going to be discussing our 3 favorite music biopics of all time. So if you listened recently to our episode about our favorite soundtracks of all time, where we basically just said like, hey, these are, my favorites, and then Lauren will go through her favorites and Michelle will go through her favorites, and we'll just kind of share with you guys what we think of some music biopics and why they're our favorites and so on, because the why always matters to me as much as what we're actually talking about. So everybody will have that to look forward to next week. But like we always say about this time, without music, life would be a mistake. Bye.
Bye.
The Infectious Groove Podcast is hosted by Russ Robinson, Kyle Wimple, and Michelle Koselecki. Produced and edited by Russ Robinson. Intro and outro music composed by Chris Kimmel. Recorded with a Rode Podcaster Pro and Rode Pod mics.